Hello everyone, this is Iran Talk, and in this video I'd like to take a look at Jason Reza Jorjani's desire to sacrifice millions of Iranians in order to save Europe from Islam. This is based on Jorjani's own admission on his X account, and while I do think that Iran needs to be free from Islam, I nonetheless oppose any support from an Iranian nationalist government for the nationalists of Europe, particularly the white nationalists, as they despise Iran and actually support the regime. And another point I wanted to emphasize is that the only reason Jorjani wants to do this is because he is half European and has a severe identity crisis. What's more is that Jorjani wants to declare a nuclear war on Muslims in Europe, and he wants to do this because he wants to exterminate Europe's Muslim population. And while I do think that Muslims do not belong in Europe, I nonetheless think that it's very suicidal and schizophrenic to sacrifice millions of Iranians who Jorjani wants to be incinerated by nuclear bombs in order to further his nefarious and satanic agenda. Thus, Jason Reza Jorjani is mentally unstable, and for this reason he cannot lead Iran, as in the past he has claimed to be a lesbian as well as a transgender, and now he is calling for the incineration of millions of innocent Iranians to further the cause of European nationalists who despise Iran and Iranians. Now, without further ado, I'd like to begin my expose and analysis. In response to someone who goes by the name of Afghan Zoroastrian on X, Jorjani wrote, "Only a post-Islamic Iran may have the political will to stop Earth from having a Muslim majority by 2075. This would require an Iranian discourse that can spiritually save the West, but it also demands a large scale of nuclear weapons. Millions of Iranians will be sacrificed." What this post shows is that Jason Reza Jorjani is very delusional when it comes to the role of Iran in the future, as he wants to save European nationalists who despise Iran and Iranians from Islam. And I think this is wrong. Iranians should focus on their own country and not serve the interests of Europeans who hate them. Thus, I stand with the people of Iran as opposed to Jorjani, who wants to genocide Iranians because he is jealous of their genetic purity and continuity, which he has been trying to prove wrong for a very long time through nonsense mostly. And this is why I think that Jorjani's nationalist movement will fail, and no Iranian should trust him for the future, particularly where it concerns Iranian nationalism. Here is what a nuclear explosion looks like, and it's very deadly. And what Jorjani does not realize is that if nuclear weapons were used against Iran, millions of Iranians would die, and it's possible that the majority of the Iranian population would be killed, especially in the aftermath of the nuclear attacks that will be launched against Iran. But again, I'm just saying that this is all a part of Jorjani's schizophrenic and satanist mind. Here's an old post from Jorjani's Facebook account, and you can see that he said Prometheism is Satanism, and he was advocating for Satan, and what this suggests is that Jorjani is indeed a Satanist. Unironically, Jorjani considers the devil to be a female, which is very interesting, and he also claimed in the past that he saw the devil naked and it drove him mad, and this is very interesting, and it hints at Jorjani's schizophrenic delusions yet again. Now, when we look at Iran's genetic origins today, we can understand why Jorjani hates the Iranians of today and wants them genocided. As you can see, per these genetic results, the contemporary Iranians have significant continuity, including the Persians, and this is why Jorjani hates Iranians. As for the majority of these populations, the genetic continuity is greater than 90 to 95%, which is very interesting, but Jorjani wants to reject this evidence because he is half European and he is admixed, and for this reason, he is not a true Iranian. That's why he does not care for the contemporary Iranians, because he considers himself to be different from them. The contemporary Iranian populations analyzed here, which include the Persians, the Zoroastrians, the Gilakis and Mazandaranis, the Laks and the Lurs, the Kurds, as well as the Azerbaijanis, are on average 35.2% Iran Ganj Dara Neolithic, 30.4% Anatolian farmer, 13.7% Yemenian, 11.2% Caucasian hunter-gatherer, 6.3% Natufian, 2.5% East Asian, and 0.6% South Asian hunter-gatherer. And this is why Jason hates Iranians, because he is not Iranian himself, but rather he is a Qajar Turkic mutt with European ancestry who has no real connection to Iran, particularly ancient Iran. While Jorjani promotes Nordicism, this is what his father, Fereidun Qajar Jorjani, who is a known womanizer, looks like. As you can see, Fereidun has a very dark-skinned phenotype, which is very interesting, but not only that, he also has Mongoloid features, and this is likely due to his mudded Qajar background. And here is a picture of Jason Reza Jorjani's engaged fiancée Nassim Nouri, and you can see that she is very dark-skinned for an Iranian, but not only that, she also has pseudo-Mongoloid features, and what this suggests is that she is of a very mixed ethnic background. What these two examples show is that Jason is very delusional and likely suffers from schizophrenia, as neither his father nor his engaged fiancée have Nordic or European phenotypes. Furthermore, Jason Reza Jorjani's engaged fiancée has a very questionable romantic history. As you can see, these are all the individuals she has been involved with, and this is very interesting. And what this suggests is that she very much likes sleeping around, and for this reason Jorjani is a cuckold. Also, none of these individuals have Nordic or European phenotypes, and what this suggests is that while wanting to genocide Iranians on a large scale through nuclear warfare, Jorjani doesn't really care about the people he dates or the people in his life, as they are not of that Nordic ideal, and this is evidence for Jorjani's schizophrenia. For this reason, based on all of the information that I have thus far shared, Jason Reza Jorjani is indeed a schizophrenic lunatic. To conclude, in this analysis and expose, I took a look at Jason Reza Jorjani's satanic desire to sacrifice Iranians through the use of nuclear weapons only to save the Europeans from the spread of Islam on the European continent. This is very much genocidal, and the only reason why Jason Reza Jorjani wants to do this is because he despises the Iranians for their significant genetic continuity, whereas at the same time, him and his father as well as his engaged fiancée are significantly admixed. Thus, Jason Reza Jorjani is indeed a schizophrenic and delusional individual who wants to kill Iranians through the use of nuclear warfare only because they do not conform with his twisted and satanic Nordic ideal, and not only that, but they are far less admixed than he is. That is it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.